How are you guys doing? Today is Thursday, April 28th, 2022. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I'm going to review yesterday's Elite matchups and performances from Wednesday, April 27th, and I'm going to preview everything that's going on today as we navigate through the world of sports one day at a time. Taking a quick step back and looking at where we are as we are almost through the month of April, we are still in the NBA playoffs in the first round as two more teams have gotten eliminated yesterday. There are still 12 teams that are still competing for the title as even one matchup has even been set up in the second round. Taking a look at what's going on with the NHL, we are in the final days of the NHL season as the Stanley Cup playoffs are set to start within about a week or so. Taking a look at what's going on with the MLB, we are in the beginning of the MLB season. We are still within the first month of it, as of course it's going to go on all the way until October. And taking a look at what's going on with soccer, we are finally through the first leg of Champions League as we are about to get into a very contentious weekend of soccer in Europe. With that said, I'm going to look at the two basketball games yesterday as two more teams got eliminated. Going in, only two teams had been eliminated, the Atlanta Hawks and the Brooklyn Nets. In the first game yesterday, which was Game 5 in the Eastern Conference's 3-6 matchup, the 3-seed defending champs Milwaukee Bucks would host the 6-seed Chicago Bulls after the Milwaukee Bucks were able to win Game 4 in Chicago by 30 points. That was Game 3. They won Game 4 in Chicago by 24. They would go on to win Game 5, 116-110, to effectively eliminate the Chicago Bulls from the playoffs after the Bulls held the best record in the East for a good chunk of the season. The Bucks won this game 116-110. They outscored the Bulls by 16 in the first quarter, and it was pretty much even after that. On the losing end of this matchup, the 6-seed Chicago Bulls were led in scoring by their starting power forward out of Florida State, Patrick Williams. He finished with 23 points in 35 minutes. He shot 9 for 13 from the field, 4 for 7 from 3, and 1 for 2 from the foul line. Their starting center, Nikola Vucevic, finished with 19 points, 16 rebounds, 6 assists, and 2 blocks in 37 minutes. He shot 8 for 15 from the field. And then their point guard off the bench out of North Carolina, Kobe White, finished with 17 points in 32 minutes. The Bulls' all-star starting small forward, DeMar DeRozan, finished with 11 points, 2 rebounds, 7 assists, and 3 steals to finish off what was an amazing season for him this year. He would go on to play 43 minutes. He shot 5 for 10 from the field and made one of his 2 free throws on the night. And then their small forward off the bench, Troy Brown Jr., finished with 10 points and 6 rebounds in 23 minutes. On the winning end of this matchup, the defending champs Milwaukee Bucks were led in scoring by their elite starting power forward and last year's NBA Finals MVP, Giannis Antetokounmpo. He finished with 33 points, 9 rebounds, and 3 assists in 30 minutes. He shot 11 for 15 from the field and 11 for 14 from the free throw line. Their shooting guard off the bench, Pat Connaughton, finished with 20 points in 23 minutes. He shot 7 for 11 from the field and 6 for 9 from 3. Their starting center out of Arkansas, Bobby Portis, finished with 14 points and 17 rebounds in 32 minutes. He shot 6 for 13 from the field. Their starting center out of Stanford, Brook Lopez, finished with 12 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 blocks in 29 minutes. Their shooting guard off the bench, Grayson Allen out of Duke, finished with 13 points and 5 rebounds in 27 minutes. Their starting point guard, Drew Holiday out of UCLA, finished with 10 points, 5 rebounds, 9 assists, and 6 turnovers in 36 minutes. With this win, the 3-seed Milwaukee Bucks have beaten the Bulls in 5 games, and they will face off against the Boston Celtics. Taking a look at when their next matchup against the Boston Celtics should be set, it is set for May 1st, as that first game is going to be on ABC, as the Boston Celtics have home court advantage. Taking a look at the second game that happened yesterday, it was the 3-6 matchup in the Western Conference that would also be ended in 5. Coming into this matchup, the Warriors led this series 3-1 after the Nuggets won Game 4 in front of their hometown crowd by 5 points. The Warriors would go on to win Game 5 to win this series after they beat the Nuggets 102-98. They won it by 4 after they had to outscore the Nuggets by 12 points in the fourth quarter to overcome their 8-point deficit coming in. On the losing end of this matchup, the 6-seed Denver Nuggets were led in scoring in their final game of the season by their elite starting center, Nikola Jokic, in last year's regular season MVP. He would go on to finish with 30 points, 19 rebounds, 8 assists, 2 blocks, and 6 turnovers in 32 minutes. He shot 12 for 18 from the field and 6 for 8 from the free throw line. Their center off the bench out of Kentucky, DeMarcus Cousins, finished with 19 points in 15 minutes. Their starting power forward out of Arizona, Aaron Gordon, finished with 15 points and 8 rebounds in 40 minutes. Their starting small forward, Will Barton, finished with 14 points in 40 minutes. Their starting point guard, Monte Morris, finished with 14 points and 7 assists in 36 minutes. On the winning end of this matchup, the 3-seed Golden State Warriors were led in scoring by their goated starting point guard, the NBA's all-time leader in three-pointers made, Stephen Curry out of Davidson. He finished with 30 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, and 5 turnovers in 38 minutes. Steph shot 10 for 22 from the field, 5 for 11 from 3, and 5 for 7 from the free throw line. Their elite starting shooting guard, Klay Thompson, finished with 15 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, 4 steals as well in 40 minutes. He shot 5 for 13 from the field, 1 for 6 from 3, and he shot a perfect 4 for 4 from the free throw line. Their shooting guard off the bench, Gary Payton II, finished with 15 points and 2 steals in 26 minutes. He shot 6 for 8 from the field. And then their all-star starting small forward out of Kansas, Andrew Wiggins, finished with 12 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 assists in 24 minutes. Wiggins shot 4 for 9 from the field. He made his only three-pointer of the night, and he shot 3 for 5 from the free throw line. Their all-star starting power forward and future Hall of Famer Draymond Green would finish with 11 points, 2 rebounds, 6 assists, and 3 blocks in 36 minutes. Draymond shot 4 for 10 from the field, 1 for 2 from 3, and he made both of his free throws on the night. With this win, the Golden State Warriors have won this series in 5 games. They've won it 4-1. They will face off against the winner between the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Memphis Grizzlies, as the Grizzlies hold the advantage in that series 3-2 at this moment. And with this loss, the Denver Nuggets will finish their season after finishing with a 48-34 record, as they put together an amazing season. And now both 6 seeds have been eliminated from the playoffs as of right now. There have been 4 teams that have been eliminated, 3 of them in the East and only 1 of them in the West. And taking a look at what's going on today, there are 3 teams that are currently facing elimination. At 7 o'clock in Toronto, Ontario, in Scotiabank Arena, it will be Game 6 of the 4-5 matchup in the East, as the 5-seed Toronto Raptors host the 4-seed Philadelphia 76ers. After the Sixers won the first 3 games and after they won their first 3 games, the Raptors were actually able to win their last 2. They won their last game, Game 5, by 15 in Philadelphia. They have to win their next 2 games if they want to make it to the next round. The Sixers have to win either of these 2 next games. Looking at the game that's going to start right after that at 7:30 on TNT in the Smoothie King Center in New Orleans, the 8-seed New Orleans Pelicans are facing elimination as they are hosting the 1-seed Phoenix Suns. The Suns are currently leading this series 3-2 after they were able to win Game 5 in Phoenix by 15 points. The Suns have to win either of these next 2 games, and the Pelicans have to win both of these next 2 games in order to make it into the next round to face off against the winner between the Mavericks and the Jazz, the 4-5 series, which is going to take place after that. At 10 o'clock, the 5-seed Utah Jazz are at home, and they are facing elimination as the 4-seed Mavericks are leading this series 3-2. The Mavericks lead this series after they were able to win Game 5 by 25 in front of their home crowd. That is what's going on today, as there could be 3 less teams in the playoffs by the end of today. But of course, we got to go through this one day at a time. Taking a look now at what is going on with the MLB at this point in time, the St. Louis Cardinals, the NL Central leaders, hosted the New York Mets, the NL East leaders. And after the Mets took a 4-1 lead in the second inning, the Cardinals would come back, eventually taking the lead right back in the 4th inning off of a wild pitch. And they would go on to beat the Mets 10-5. They would go on to outscore the Mets 9-1 after the second inning. On the losing end of this matchup, the New York Mets would see the loss would get attributed to their starting pitcher, Carlos Carrasco. Carrasco would allow 8 runs off of 8 hits in the 3.2 innings he pitched. He would strike out 3 batters and walk 2, and with this loss, he's 1-1. In the Mets batting lineup, their designated hitter, Eduardo Escobar, would end up going 2 for 4 with a run. Their left fielder, Mark Canha, went 2 for 4. Their second baseman, Luis Guillorme, would end up going 2 for 4 with a run. And then the Mets starting catcher, Tomas Nido, would end up going 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs and a run. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown St. Louis Cardinals were led out by their starting pitcher, Steven Matz. Matz allowed 4 earned runs off of 6 hits in the 4 innings he pitched. He would strike out 6 batters and walk 2. The win would go to the Cardinals' first relief pitcher, Jake Woodford. Woodford allowed 1 earned run off of 3 hits in the 2 innings he pitched. He would strike out 2 batters, and with this win, Woodford is 1-0. In the Cardinals batting lineup, their second baseman, Tommy Edman, went 3 for 5 with an RBI and 3 runs. Their elite first baseman, Paul Goldschmidt, would go 2 for 5 with an RBI and a run. Their elite designated hitter, Nolan Arenado, will go 3 for 3 with 3 RBIs and a run. Their right fielder in this matchup, Corey Dickerson, would end up going 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs and a run. Their center fielder, Dylan Carlson, went 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs. With this win, the St. Louis Cardinals are 10-7. That is the second best record in the National League Central. They've won 5 of their last 10 games as they sit a full game behind the division-leading Milwaukee Brewers. They just have 2 less wins than them. With this loss, the New York Mets are 14-6. That is still the best record in the National League East. They've lost 3 of their last 10 games. They are still holding on to the best record in baseball. They're the only team that's won at least 70% of their games. They sit 3.5 games ahead of the second place Miami Marlins in their division. Taking a look at what happened in Chicago, the White Sox would host the Kansas City Royals. The White Sox would end up beating the Royals 7-3. The Royals would end up tying the game at 3 in the top of the 7th, but then the White Sox would break that lead off of a 3-run home run from Andrew Vaughn in the bottom of the 7th. They just ran away with it. On the losing end of this matchup, the Royals would be led out by their starting pitcher and former Cy Young winner, Zach Greinke. Greinke allowed 3 earned runs off of 5 hits in the 6 innings that he pitched. He would strike out 4 on the day. The loss would go to the Royals' first relief pitcher, Colin Snyder. He allowed 2 earned runs off of 2 hits in the .2 innings that he pitched as he struck out a batter. With this loss, Cole Snyder is 2-1. In the Royals batting lineup, nobody on their team would finish with more than 1 hit. That would be attributed to great pitching from the White Sox. The White Sox would see their start go to Dylan Cease. Cease allowed 2 earned runs off of 3 hits in the 6 innings that he pitched. He would strike out 9 batters and walk 3. The win would go to the White Sox setup relief pitcher for the day, Bennett Sousa. Sousa would allow no earned runs in .2 innings pitched as he would finish off the 7th inning. He would pick up his first blown save of the year, but he would pick up his first win. He's now 1-0. The save for the White Sox would go to their closer for the day as it would go to Kendall Graveman. Graveman would allow no earned runs off of no hits in the final 2 innings of the game as he struck out 4. This would be Graveman's first save of 2022. In the White Sox batting lineup, their elite shortstop Tim Anderson went 2 for 3 with 2 runs. Their left fielder Andrew Vaughn went 2 for 4 with 4 RBIs and a run as he had his 4th home run of the year. Their third baseman Jake Berger would go 3 for 4 with an RBI and a run as he had his 2nd home run of the season. With this win, the Chicago White Sox are 7-10. That is the second best record in the American League Central. They've won 2 of their last 10 games as they trail the Minnesota Twins by 2.5 games in the division, as they were, of course, able to snap a very serious losing skid. With this loss, the Kansas City Royals are 6-10. That is the 4th best record in the American League Central. They've lost 6 of their last 10 games. They sit 3 full games behind the division-leading Minnesota Twins. Taking a look at what happened in Phoenix, the Arizona Diamondbacks hosted the Los Angeles Dodgers. As the game would be tied up at 1 in the top of the 8th by the Dodgers, the Diamondbacks would break the lead off of a sacrifice bunt from Sergio Alcantara. And, of course, they would score another run that inning. On the losing end of this matchup, the Los Angeles Dodgers would be led out by their starting pitcher, Julio Urias. He allowed 1 earned run off of 1 hit in the 6 innings that he pitched. He would strike out 4 batters and walk 2. The loss would go to the Dodgers closer for the day, Daniel Hudson. He allowed 2 runs off of 1 hit in the 8th inning as he would walk a batter, and with this loss, he's now 1-1 as he would not register a single out he would not be allowed to pitch in the 9th inning. But in the Dodgers batting lineup, their elite right fielder Mookie Betts would go 2 for 4 with a run. Their elite shortstop Trey Turner would go 2 for 4 with an RBI as well. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Arizona Diamondbacks would be led out by their starting pitcher, Zach Gallen. Gallen allowed no earned runs off of 2 hits in the 6 innings he pitched. He would strike out 5 batters, and then, of course, he would walk 2. The win would go to the Diamondbacks setup relief pitcher, Ian Kennedy. Kennedy would allow 1 earned run off of 2 hits in the 1 inning that he pitched as he struck out a batter. He picked up his first blown save of the year, and with this win, however, he is now 2-1. The save would go to the Diamondbacks closer, Mark Melancon. Melancon would pitch the entire 9th inning as he struck out a batter. He picked up his 4th save of the year. Nobody in the Diamondbacks lineup would have more than 1 hit, as their shortstop Nico Ahmed would go 1 for 3 as he hit his first home run of the season. With this win, the Arizona Diamondbacks are 8-11. That is the worst record in the National League West, and they are tied with the Atlanta Braves, the defending World Series champs, for the 3rd worst record in the National League. The Diamondbacks have won their last 2 games. They've won 5 of their last 10. They sit 5 games behind the division-leading San Francisco Giants at this point. With this loss, the Los Angeles Dodgers are 12-6. That is the 2nd best record in the National League West, as they've now lost their last 2 games. The Dodgers have lost 4 of their last 10. They sit half a game behind the division-leading San Francisco Giants at the moment. They hold the 3rd best record in the National League, and they are tied with the Yankees for the 3rd best record in baseball. Taking a look at what happened in Pittsburgh, the Pirates would host the Milwaukee Brewers in this in-division matchup. After the Pirates would score the first run of the game, the Brewers would take the lead in the 7th off of a RBI single from Tyrone Taylor, and then they would run away with their 12th win of the season. On the losing end of this matchup first, the hometown Pittsburgh Pirates would be led out by their starting pitcher, Dylan Peters. Dylan Peters would allow no earned runs, and he would allow 0 hits in the first 2 innings of the game as he walked a batter. The loss would go to the Pirates' 2nd relief pitcher of the day, however, Will Crowe. Crowe would allow 2 runs off of 3 hits as he would pitch in the entire 7th inning. He would strike out a batter as well. He would pick up his first blown save of the year, and with this loss, he's 1-1. In the Pirates batting lineup, no one on their team would finish with more than 1 hit. The only player that finished with a hit was Brian Reynolds as he went 1 for 4. On the winning end of this matchup, the Milwaukee Brewers would be led out by their starting pitcher, Aaron Ashby. Ashby allowed 1 run off of 1 hit in 5.2 innings pitched. He would strike out 6 batters and then end up walking 5. The win would go to the Brewers' first relief pitcher, Trevor Gott. Trevor Gott allowed no earned runs as he finished off the 6th inning, and he would also pick up a strikeout. The save would go to the Brewers' elite closer, Josh Hader. He would allow no earned runs in the 9th inning as he struck out 3 batters and walked 2. Josh Hader is already up to his 10th save of the season. In the Brewers' batting lineup, nobody on their team would finish with more than 1 hit, as their center fielder Tyrone Taylor, Rowdy Tellez, their first baseman, and their second baseman Colton Wong finished with the team's 3 RBIs. With this win, the Milwaukee Brewers are now 12-7. That is the best record in the National League Central. They've won their last 2 games, and they've won 8 of their last 10. They sit a full game ahead of the 2nd place St. Louis Cardinals in their division. If they were in the National League West, they would be tied with the San Diego Padres for the 3rd best record in the West, to get a sense of how they're stacking up with the top teams in the National League. With this loss, the Pittsburgh Pirates are 8-10. That is the 4th best record in the National League Central. They've lost their last 2 games, and they've lost 6 of their last 10. They are sitting 3.5 games behind the division-leading Milwaukee Brewers. Jumping out to Cincinnati, the Reds would host the San Diego Padres. The Padres would end up beating the Reds 8-5, as the Reds really didn't have an opportunity to lead in this game. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Reds would see the loss go to their starting pitcher, Vladimir Gutierrez. Gutierrez allowed 6 earned runs off of 5 hits in the 4 innings that he pitched. He would strike out 2 batters and then walk 6. With this loss, he's now 0-4 on the season. In the Reds batting lineup, their designated hitter, Brandon Drury, would end up going 2 for 5 with an RBI and a run. Their left fielder, Tommy Pham, went 2 for 4 with an RBI and 3 runs as he hit his 3rd home run of the season. Their shortstop, Kyle Farmer, went 4 for 5 with 2 RBIs and a run. On the winning end of this, going back to Drury hit his 3rd home run of the season. On the winning end of this matchup, the San Diego Padres would see the win go to their starting pitcher, Mackenzie Gore. Mackenzie Gore would allow 1 earned run off of 5 hits in the 5 innings he pitched. He would strike out 10 batters and he would walk 2. With this win, Mackenzie Gore is 2-0, and the save would end up going to the Padres closer for the day, Taylor Rogers. Rogers would allow no earned runs in .1 innings pitched. He would finish off the game, and this would be his 6th save of the year. In the Padres batting lineup, their elite 3rd baseman Manny Machado would end up going 3 for 5 with an RBI and 2 runs. Their first baseman Eric Hosmer went 2 for 2 with 2 walks as he had 2 RBIs and a run. He hit his 2nd home run of the season. And then with this win, the San Diego Padres are 12-7. That is the 3rd best record in the National League West. They've now won their last 2 games and they've won 7 of their last 10. They sit a full game behind the division-leading San Francisco Giants at the moment. With this loss, the Cincinnati Reds are 3-15. That is the worst record in the National League Central. That is the worst record in the National League and the worst record in all of baseball. They've now lost their last 2 games and they've lost 9 of their last 10. They are sitting 8.5 games behind the division-leading Milwaukee Brewers, and they haven't even played 20 games yet. Taking a look at what happened in Tampa, the Tampa Bay Rays would host the Seattle Mariners. The Rays would end up beating the Mariners 3-2 after they scored the first 3 runs of the game, scoring their first run off of a Harold Ramirez single in the bottom of the first. On the losing end of this matchup, the Seattle Mariners would see the loss go to their starting pitcher, Marco Gonzalez. Gonzalez would allow 1 earned run off of 1 hit as he would get pulled in the first inning after he would strike out and walk a batter. With this loss, Marco Gonzalez is 1-2. In the Mariners batting lineup, nobody on their team would finish with more than 1 hit. That would be attributed to great pitching from the Rays. The Rays starting pitcher, Drew Rasmussen, would pick up the win. Rasmussen would allow no earned runs off of 2 hits in the 6 innings that he pitched. He would strike out 9 batters and then walk 1. With this win, Drew Rasmussen is 1-1 for the Rays this year, and the save would go to their closer, Andrew Kittredge. Kittredge allowed 1 earned run off of 2 hits as he finished off the 8th and pitched the entire 9th. He would strike out a batter, picking up his 3rd save of the year. In the Rays batting lineup, their designated hitter, Harold Ramirez, went 2 for 3 with an RBI. Their center fielder, Kevin Kiermaier, would go 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs and a run. He would go on to hit his 2nd home run of the season. With this win, the Tampa Bay Rays are 10-8. That is the 3rd best record in the American League East. They've won 6 of their last 10. They sit 2 whole games behind the division-leading New York Yankees. And with this loss, the Seattle Mariners are 11-7. That is the 2nd best record in the American League West. They've lost 3 of their last 10 games, and they are currently sitting half a game behind the division-leading Los Angeles Angels. Jumping out to Philadelphia, the Philadelphia Phillies went on to host the Colorado Rockies. The Phillies would go on to beat the Rockies 7-3, as the Rockies would get 1 run away, but the Phillies would still kind of inflict their will on the Rockies this game. On the losing end of this matchup, the Rockies would be led out by their starting pitcher in this matchup. Ryan Feltner would pick up his first loss of the season as he allowed 4 earned runs off of 7 hits in the 5 innings that he pitched. He struck out 7 batters and would walk 2. With this loss, Feltner is 0-1. In the Rockies batting lineup, their right fielder, Randall Grichuk, would go 2 for 4 with an RBI. Their catcher, Elias Diaz, would go 2 for 4. And then their shortstop in this matchup, Jose Iglesias, would go 4 for 4 with a run. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Philadelphia Phillies would be led out by their starting pitcher, Ranger Suarez. Suarez allowed 3 earned runs off of 7 hits in the 6 innings he pitched. He would strike out 3 batters and walk 1. With this win, he is now 2-0. In the Phillies batting lineup, their elite designated hitter Bryce Harper ended up going 3 for 4 with 2 runs. Their elite right fielder Nick Castellanos would go 2 for 3 with an RBI and a run. Their third baseman Alec Bohm went 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run. Their shortstop Didi Gregorius would go 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs and a run. And then the Phillies catcher in this matchup, Garrett Stubbs, would end up going 2 for 4 with an RBI. With this win, the Philadelphia Phillies are 9-10. That is the third best record in the National League East, as they've now won their last 3 games. They've won 5 of their last 10, as they are sitting 4.5 games behind the division-leading New York Mets. Their 3-game winning streak is the second longest active winning streak in the National League, behind the Miami Marlins. With this loss, the Colorado Rockies are 10-8. That is the 4th best record in the National League West, as they've now lost their last 3 games. They've lost 6 of their last 10. They are sitting 2.5 games behind the division-leading San Francisco Giants at the moment. Jumping out to our nation's capital, the Washington Nationals hosted the Marlins. The Marlins were able to beat the Nats 2-1, scoring their runs off of a Jesus Aguilar home run and then a walk from the reigning World Series MVP Jorge Soler. Of course, to pick up their 4th win in a row. They would go on, and looking at how this would fare, this would be their 9th win of the year. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Washington Nationals were led out by their starting pitcher, Erick Fedde. Fedde allowed 2 earned runs off of 3 hits in the 4.2 innings he pitched. He would strike out 5 batters and then walk 3. With this loss, he's now 1-2. In the Nats batting lineup, their third baseman Michael Franco would go 2 for 4. And then on the winning end of this matchup, the Miami Marlins would be led out by their starting pitcher Pablo Lopez. He allowed no earned runs off of 3 hits in the 6 innings that he pitched. He would strike out 6 batters and then walk 1. With this win, he's now 3-0. The save would end up going to the Marlins closer, Anthony Bender. He would go on to allow no earned runs off of 1 hit as he finished off the 8th and pitched the entire 9th. He would strike out a batter, picking up his 4th save of the year. In the Marlins batting lineup, their second baseman Jazz Chisholm Jr. went 2 for 3. He was the only player on the Marlins who had more than 1 hit. With this win, the Marlins are now 9-8. They are now holding the second best record in the National League East, as they are holding a 4-game winning streak. That is the longest active winning streak in the National League. The Yankees and the Minnesota Twins are the only 2 teams that hold longer winning streaks than the Marlins at this moment. They have won 6 of their last 10 games. They are sitting 3.5 games behind the division-leading New York Mets at the moment. With this loss, the Washington Nationals are 6-14. That is the worst record in the National League East. That is the second worst record in the National League, and it's currently the second worst record in all of baseball right now. They've lost their last 7 games. Their 7-game losing streak is the longest active losing streak in baseball, and they've lost 8 of their last 10. At this moment, the Nationals are sitting 8 full games behind the division-leading New York Mets. Taking a look at what happened in the Bronx, the New York Yankees hosted the Baltimore Orioles. The Yankees would end up beating the Orioles 5-2 at home. The Orioles did end up tying the game at 2. The Yankees would end up breaking this tie off of a Giancarlo Stanton sac fly in the 6th, and then they would just run away with it in the 7th. On the losing end of this matchup, the Baltimore Orioles would be led out by their starting pitcher, Tyler Wells. Tyler Wells would allow 2 earned runs off of 3 hits in the 5 innings that he pitched. He would go on to strike out 4 batters, and the loss would end up going to the Orioles' first relief pitcher, Joey Kriebel. He would allow 1 earned run off of 1 hit in the .1 inning that he pitched. He would strike out 1 batter, and he would walk 1, and with this loss, he's 1-2. In the Orioles batting lineup, their designated hitter, Anthony Santander, would go 1 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a run as he hit his 3rd home run of the season. And then their third baseman, Ramon Urias, would have the only multi-hit game for the Orioles. He went 2 for 4. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown New York Yankees would be led off by their starting pitcher, Jordan Montgomery. Montgomery would allow 2 earned runs off of 4 hits in the 5.2 innings that he pitched. He would strike out 4 batters. The win would go to the Yankees' first relief pitcher out of the 2, Michael King. King would pitch 2.1 innings as he finished the 6th and pitched all the way through the 8th. He would only allow 1 hit in that span as he struck out 2 batters and even walked 1. With this win, he's now 2-0 on the season. The save would end up going to the Yankees closer, Clay Holmes. He would allow no earned runs and he would allow no hits either in the one inning that he pitched, which was the ninth inning. He would strike out 2 batters as he picked up his second save of the year. In the Yankees batting lineup, their elite center fielder, Aaron Judge, went 2 for 4 with a run. Their elite right fielder, Giancarlo Stanton, went 2 for 3 with 3 RBIs and a run as he hit his 3rd home run of the season. With this win, the New York Yankees are now 12-6. That is the best record in the American League East as they have now won their last 5 games. They are, of course, holding the best record in the American League at this moment. They are tied with the Dodgers for the 3rd best record in all of baseball right now. They have won. Their 5-game winning streak is the 2nd longest active winning streak in the majors, right behind the Minnesota Twins. The Yankees have won 8 of their last 10 games. They sit half a game ahead of the 2nd place Toronto Blue Jays in their division, as the Yankees just have 1 less loss than the Blue Jays. That's just what it is. With this loss, the Baltimore Orioles are now 6-12. That is the worst record in the American League East. It is currently tied with the Texas Rangers for the worst record in the American League. They've lost their last 3 games, and they've lost 6 of their last 10. Their 3-game losing streak is the third longest active losing streak in the American League. They are sitting 6 games behind the division-leading New York Yankees at this moment. Jumping out to Toronto, staying within the American League East, the Toronto Blue Jays would host the Boston Red Sox. After the Blue Jays would tie the Red Sox at 1 in the 3rd inning, the Red Sox would score 6 unanswered to win this game 7-1. The first of those runs was an RBI single from J.D. Martinez in the top of the 6th. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Toronto Blue Jays were led out by their starting pitcher Ross Stripling. Stripling allowed 1 earned run off of 5 hits in the 5 innings that he pitched. He would strike out 7 batters on the day. The loss would go to the Blue Jays' first relief pitcher, Trent Thornton. He allowed 2 earned runs off of 3 hits in the 6 innings that he pitched. With this loss, he is now 0-1. In the Blue Jays batting lineup, their center fielder, George Springer, went 2 for 4. And then on the winning end of this matchup, the Boston Red Sox were led out by their starting pitcher, Michael Wacha. Wacha would allow 1 earned run off of 4 hits in the 6 innings that he pitched. He would strike out 5 batters and then walk 2. With this win, he's now 2-0. In the Red Sox batting lineup, their elite shortstop, Xander Bogaerts, would go 4 for 4 with an RBI and 2 runs. Their elite third baseman, Rafael Devers, would end up going 2 for 5 with an RBI and a run. Their elite designated hitter, J.D. Martinez, went 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run as well. With this win, the Boston Red Sox are now 8-11. That is the 4th best record in the American League East. They've won 3 of their last 10 games as they sit 4.5 games behind the division-leading New York Yankees. With this loss, the Toronto Blue Jays are now 12-7. They've now lost only 3 of their last 10 games. That is the 2nd best record as they have only 1 more loss than the division-leading Yankees. They sit half a game behind them in the race as we are still in the very beginning of the season. And taking a look at what happened in Atlanta, the defending World Series champs Atlanta Braves hosted the Chicago Cubs. And in a game where the Braves would have to score 3 games to send it into extra innings, the Cubs would end up scoring 3 runs in the top of the 10th, as Wilson Contreras' double would put them up by 1. Patrick Wisdom's 2-run home run would give the Cubs the 6-3 lead that they would need to win this game. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Atlanta Braves were led out by their starting pitcher, Charlie Morton. He allowed 3 earned runs off of 4 hits in the 2.1 innings that he pitched. He would strike out a batter and then walk 4. The loss would go to the Atlanta Braves, their setup relief pitcher, Tyler Matzik. Matzik would allow 3 runs off of 3 hits as he would finish the 10th inning, but he would start it but not finish the 10th inning. He would strike out 2 batters, and with this loss, he's 0-1. In the Braves batting lineup, their designated hitter in this matchup, Alex Dickerson, would go 2 for 5 with a run, and then their center fielder, Adam Duvall, will go 2 for 5 with a run. On the winning end of this matchup, the Chicago Cubs were led out by their starting pitcher, Mark Leiter Jr. Leiter Jr. allowed no earned runs off of 2 hits in the 2 innings that he pitched. He would walk 1 batter. The win would go to the Cubs setup relief pitcher, David Robertson. He allowed no earned runs in 1.1 innings pitched as he would finish off the 8th and pitch the entire 9th. He would strike out 3 batters in that span, and he is now 1-0 on the year. The save would end up going to the Cubs closer, Rowan Wick. He allowed no earned runs in the 10th inning as he struck out 2. This would be his very first save of the year. In the Cubs batting lineup, their right fielder, Seiya Suzuki, would go 2 for 5 with an RBI and a run. And then their second baseman, Nick Madrigal, would go 2 for 5 with an RBI. With this win, the Chicago Cubs are 8-10. That is the third best record in the National League Central. They've won 4 of their last 10 games. They sit 3.5 games behind the division-leading Milwaukee Brewers, and that's where they sit. With this loss, the Atlanta Braves are 8-11. That is the fourth best record in the National League East. They've lost 6 of their last 10 games. At the moment, they are sitting 5.5 games behind the team sitting at the top of the NL East, which is the New York Mets. Jumping out to Minneapolis, the Minnesota Twins hosted the Detroit Tigers, and they were able to extend their MLB lead 6-game winning streak after they would go on to start their season 4-8. They're now 10-8. They won this game 5-0 as they would get their scoring early as Max Kepler would hit 2 home runs in the first 4 innings of the game. But looking at how the Tigers fared on the losing end of this matchup, the loss would go to their starting pitcher, Michael Pineda. Pineda allowed 4 earned runs off of 7 hits in the 5 innings that he pitched. He would strike out 2 batters. With this loss, Pineda is 1-1. In the Tigers batting lineup, nobody would finish with more than 1 hit as of course, the Twins would have great pitching from beginning to end. The win would go to the Minnesota Twins starting pitcher, Joe Ryan. Ryan would allow no earned runs and only 1 hit in 7 innings. He would strike out 9 batters and then walk 1. With this win, Ryan is 3-1 on the. He would be 3-1 on the day. Their first baseman in their batting lineup, Luis Arraez, would end up going 2 for 4. Their right fielder, Max Kepler, went 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs as he hit his 3rd and 4th home runs of the year. Their designated hitter, Trevor Larnach, would end up going 2 for 4 with 2 runs. Their center fielder in this matchup, Ryan Jeffers, would go 2 for 3 with 3 RBIs and a run. He would hit his 2nd home run of the season. And then with this win, the Minnesota Twins are 10-8. Like I said, they have the longest active winning streak in the MLB as they've won their last 6 games. They've won 7 of their last 10. At the moment, they sit 2.5 games ahead of the second-place Chicago White Sox in their division. And with this loss, the Detroit Tigers are 6-11. That is the worst record in the American League Central. They've now lost their last 4 games, and they've lost 7 of their last 10. The Detroit Tigers are currently sitting 3.5 games behind the division-leading Minnesota Twins. Jumping out to Arlington, the Texas Rangers hosted the defending American League champs Houston Astros from within the state. The Astros would go on to beat the Rangers. The Rangers did take a 2-0 lead in the 2nd inning. The Astros would take the lead right back off of a 3-run double from Kyle Tucker. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Texas Rangers would be led out by their starting pitcher, Glenn Otto. Glenn Otto allowed 2 earned runs off of 4 hits in the 4.1 innings that he pitched. He would strike out 5 batters and then walk 2. The loss would go to the Rangers' first relief pitcher, Brett Martin. Martin would allow 2 earned runs off of 2 hits as he finished off the 5th inning. He would strike out a batter and even walk 1, and with this loss, he's 0-2. In the Rangers batting lineup, their right fielder, Cole Calhoun, went 4 for 5, and then their designated hitter, Mitch Garver, would end up going 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run. On the winning end of this matchup, the Houston Astros were led out by their starting pitcher, Christian Javier. Christian Javier would allow 2 earned runs off of 4 hits in the 5 innings he pitched. He struck out 4 batters and then walked 2. With this win, he's now 1-0. The save would end up going to the Astros closer, Ryan Stanek. He allowed 1 earned run off of 1 hit in the 9th inning as he struck out a batter and even walked 1. This would be his first save of the year. In the Astros batting lineup, their center fielder, Chas McCormick, went 2 for 5 with an RBI and 2 runs. Their left fielder, Yordan Alvarez, went 2 for 2 with a run. And with this win, the Houston Astros are now 9-9. That is the 4th best record in the American League West. They've won their last 2 games, and they've won 4 of their last 10. They are now sitting 2.5 games behind the division-leading LA Angels at the moment. With this loss, the Texas Rangers are 6-12. That is the worst record in the American League West. They are currently sitting even with the Baltimore Orioles for the worst record in the entire American League. and they have now lost their last 2 games. They've lost 6 of their last 10. At this moment, the Texas Rangers are sitting 5.5 games behind the division-leading Los Angeles Angels. Speaking of the Angels, they would go on to host the Cleveland Guardians yesterday. They went on to win this game 9-5. The Guardians did score the first 2 runs of the game. The Angels would actually even them up in the bottom of the first, and then they would take the lead in the bottom of the second off of a grand slam from Taylor Ward. On the losing end of this matchup, the Cleveland Guardians would be led out by their starting pitcher, Zach Plesac, who picked up his second loss of the season. Plesac would allow 7 runs off of 7 hits in the 3.2 innings that he pitched. He would strike out 2 batters and then walk 2. Plesac is now 1-2 on the season. In the Guardians batting lineup, their elite third baseman Jose Ramirez will go 2 for 4 with 4 RBIs and 2 runs. He would go on to hit his 5th and 6th home run of the season. Their first baseman Owen Miller went 2 for 3, and then their second baseman Andres Jimenez would end up going 2 for 4. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Los Angeles Angels would be led out by their elite starting pitcher in last year's American League MVP Shohei Ohtani. Ohtani allowed 2 earned runs off of 5 hits in the 5 innings that he pitched. He would strike out 4 batters and walk 1. With this win, Ohtani is 2-2. In the Angels batting lineup, their right fielder Nick Ward would end up going 3 for 4 with 4 RBIs and 4 runs. He was a single away from a cycle as he went 3 for 4 with 4 RBIs and 4 runs. He hit his 4th home run of the season. He also hit his first triple and his second double. Their elite designated hitter, Shohei Ohtani, the reigning American League MVP and their starting pitcher of the day, went 3 for 5 with an RBI and a run. Their goated center fielder, Mike Trout, will go 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs and a run. And then their shortstop in this matchup, Tyler Wade, would end up going 2 for 4 with a run. With this win, the Los Angeles Angels have the best record in the American League West. They are tied with the Toronto Blue Jays for the second best record in the American League behind the New York Yankees. The Angels have won their last 4 games. That is the 3rd longest active winning streak in the American League. They've won 7 of their last 10 games. They are sitting half a game ahead of the second place Seattle Mariners in their division. With this loss, the Cleveland Guardians are 7-11. That is the 3rd best record in the American League Central. They have now lost their last 6 games. Their 6-game losing streak is the longest active losing streak in the American League. The Washington Nationals are the only team that has a longer active losing streak than the Guardians right now. And despite their 6-game losing streak, they sit 3 games behind the division-leading Minnesota Twins. And then last but not least, jumping to the Battle of the Bay, the Oakland A's were able to beat the San Francisco Giants 1-0 after scoring their lone run off of a Chad Pinder home run in the top of the first. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Giants, who were shut out, were led out by their starting pitcher, Sam Long. Sam Long would pick up his first loss of the season as he allowed 1 earned run off of 1 hit in the first inning. He would strike out a batter, and with this loss, he's 0-1. In the Giants batting lineup, nobody on their team would finish with more than 1 hit. And then, of course, on the A's side of this matchup, the win would go to their starting pitcher, Paul Blackburn. Blackburn allowed no earned runs off of 3 hits in the 5 innings that he pitched. He would strike out 4 batters and then walk 1. With this win, he's now 3-0. The save would then go to the A's closer in this matchup, Danny Jimenez. He allowed no earned runs in the 9th inning. This would be his 4th save of the year. In the A's batting lineup, their left fielder, Chad Pinder, will go 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run. And, of course, he would go on to hit his 3rd home run of the season. That was the lone run that the A's scored. With the win, the Oakland Athletics are 10-9. That is the 3rd best record in the American League West. They've won 5 of their last 10 games as they now sit 2 full games behind the division-leading Los Angeles Angels. With this loss, the San Francisco Giants are now 13-6. That is the best record in the National League West. They've only lost 4 of their last 10 games. They are one win away from having the best record in all of baseball, and they also are one win ahead of the second best team in their division, the Los Angeles Dodgers. So that is what baseball is looking like following yesterday's matchups. And then looking out to what's going on today. Today is Thursday. So because of that, the only primetime match is going to be at 7:20 as the defending World Series champs Atlanta Braves, led by Kyle Wright, are going to host the Chicago Cubs, led by Drew Smyly. Looking at where they're sitting, the Atlanta Braves are holding the fourth best record in the National League East, and the Cubs are holding the third best record in the National League Central. Looking at the games that aren't going to be on prime time, starting at 12:35, Jose Quintana and the Pittsburgh Pirates are going to host Freddie Peralta and the Milwaukee Brewers at 12:35 at the same time. Tyler Mahle and the Cincinnati Reds are going to host Nick Martinez and the San Diego Padres. At 1:05, Jameson Taillon and the New York Yankees are going to host Bruce Zimmerman and the Baltimore Orioles. That game is going to be on ESPN+. At 1:05, Zach Wheeler and the Phillies are going to host Austin Gomber and the Colorado Rockies. At the same time, Patrick Corbin and the Washington Nationals are going to host Trevor Rogers and the Miami Marlins. At 1:10, Bailey Oberg and the Minnesota Twins are going to host Tarek Skubal and the Detroit Tigers. At the same time, at 1:10, Jeffrey Springs and the Tampa Bay Rays are going to host Chris Flexen and the Seattle Mariners. At 2:05, Martin Perez and the Texas Rangers are going to host the Houston Astros as they're being led out by their goated starting pitcher, Justin Verlander. Verlander enters this matchup with a 1-1 record, holding a 1.89 ERA. At 2:10, Michael Kopech and the Chicago White Sox are going to host Brad Keller and the Kansas City Royals. At 3:07, Alek Manoah and the Toronto Blue Jays are going to host Garrett Whitlock and the Boston Red Sox. At 4:07 in Angel Stadium, Reed Detmers and the Los Angeles Angels are going to host Cal Quantrill and the Cleveland Guardians. And then last but not least, in 7:45, in Busch Stadium, Dakota Hudson and the St. Louis Cardinals are going to host Humberto Castellanos and the Arizona Diamondbacks. So that's what baseball is looking like following yesterday and what going into today. And looking at what's happening in soccer, yesterday was the second first leg matchup of Champions League after Man City won their first game against Real Madrid. In this matchup between Liverpool and Villarreal, and the matchup that took place in Liverpool would win this matchup 2-0. As their first goal would come off of a Villarreal own goal. And then 2 minutes later, it would be a goal from their elite Senegalese forward, Sadio Mane. With this win, they hold a 2-0 aggregate advantage as the next matchup should be next Tuesday. And that matchup should be in Spain as Villarreal is most definitely not out of this tournament. Taking a look at what happened in Italy, one of the top teams in Italy, Inter Milan, they had a chance to regain their top spot in Serie A, but they would fall short to Bologna. Their lone goal will come in the 3rd minute from Ivan Perisic, as Bologna's goal from Marco Arnautovic in the first half, and then Nicola Sansone in the second would put them up. At least looking at where they are currently holding the 13th best record in Italy still. But with this loss, Inter now sits 2 points behind first place AC Milan with 4 games left in the Serie A season. That was a very big game to lose, but at the end of the day, it's not everything. They are still in they're still in serious contention. Taking a look at what's going on today. Today will feature the 2 Europa League matchups. But first, before I get to that, the lone Premier League game that's going to be taking place today is going to feature Manchester United and Chelsea. Manchester United is currently entering this game as they are holding the 6th best record in the Premier League. A win here wouldn't even move them up in the standings, but they are sitting 4 points behind 5th place Tottenham with 1 more game played than Tottenham. But a win here, I guess, could inch them closer towards Champions League contention as Man U has 4 games left in their season. Chelsea is currently sitting 14 points behind 2nd place Liverpool with 2 less games played. I imagine they're trying to, of course, retain their Champions League status as they are sitting 7 points ahead of 5th place Tottenham. But a win would actually do wonders for both teams. And then looking at the Europa League semifinals, RB Leipzig is going to face off against Rangers. And then looking at how these 2 teams got here really quickly, Leipzig was able to beat Atalanta 3-1 on aggregates. And then Rangers was able to beat Braga 3-2 on aggregates. And then the next matchup at 3 o'clock at the same time is going to see West Ham United hosting Eintracht Frankfurt. West Ham made it to this round after they beat Lyonnais 4-1 on aggregates, and Eintracht Frankfurt made it to this round after beating Barcelona 4-3 on aggregates, winning their last game 3-2. So that is what I have for you today. And of course, I want to thank the ESPN, the NCAA, the MLB, and FIFA websites for giving me everything that I needed for this episode. And of course, I want to thank everyone for listening to all 48, 49, 50 minutes of this piece. As I've been working on this project, that's really been my capstone project ever since I was at Duke, and I'm continuing to work on it every day. And I do appreciate the patience because it has taken me a bit to catch up. But once again, thanks for listening. I do hope all is well. Once all of today's matchups and exhibitions are complete, I'm going to come back tomorrow on Friday, April 29th for another episode of The Elite. So until then, thanks for listening. I hope all is well. Thanks for listening to my piece, and peace out. I'll catch you with more after this.